I've been living in Sunnyside for over 10 years. I've had a business open in Sunnyside for 7 years, yoga studio, and I'm opening another business shortly. I am deeply invested in what happens to this community. I want to tell you why we're here right now. We're just a few years removed from having a president that was endorsed by Nazis. Many of us, unfortunately, did not, but those of us blessed to be here survived a global pandemic that brought the world to a halt. We live in a time where all around the country, they are banning books, they are banning knowledge about Black people. The Supreme Court has ruled that women, girls, and people who can have babies are not in charge of their bodies. They are telling children that they can't use the word gay in school, that they can't seek out gender-affirming care. There are over 500 anti-LGBTQI plus bills, anti-LGBTQIA plus bills in legislation around the country right now waiting to be passed. Why am I mentioning all of these things? What does that have to do with us? As we learned during the pandemic, and were reminded of just last week when the smoke from Canada forced us back into our homes for protection, what happens to one of us happens to all of us. And while we cannot fight all the battles everywhere all at once, I believe it's important to think globally and act locally. So before I can complain about the fascists in Florida, Texas, or Louisiana, I need to address the descent into fascism in my own city and neighborhood. In 2020, after watching Sandra Bland, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and countless others be murdered by police or white supremacists, I, like millions of others, was compelled to go out into the street and march for change. While marching, I witnessed the police, particularly the SRG unit, brutalize people over and over again. I saw them slam folks off of their bikes, punch people in the face, punch women in the face, physically brutalize women and femme individuals. I myself was a victim of this abuse. I was beat up by 4 different police officers that jumped on my body and hit me in my back, in my head, in my balls, in my ribs. JulieWon marched with BLM folks just enough to get pictures and present as an ally. She then made a pledge, twice on the record, not to vote for an NYPD budget increase. And once elected, what did she do? She made that pledge, first of all, because she knew that's what voters needed, and that's what they needed to hear to get her seat. And not too long after winning that seat, what's the first vote that she voted on was the budget vote, and she voted yes on an increase to NYPD spending, a record high police budget. This money didn't come from nowhere. To pay for the NYPD budget increase, money was slashed from schools, from libraries, from parks, from social services, from housing services, from mental health services. You can watch the video from the City Council Finance Committee. It's 11 hours long, and there's various people from different city agencies begging for more money, saying we don't have the staff to execute our job. The only city agency that did not show up to the Finance Committee meeting asking for more money was the NYPD, because they are fully funded. They are overfunded. There were 6 other city council people that pledged to vote no on the budget. When the budget vote came up, they voted no. JulieWon told me that those city council members were being irresponsible in serving their districts, and that defunding the police was not realistic. But she did not say that defunding the police was not realistic when she signed the pledge to defund the police. Yeah. I honestly didn't give her much time to talk when I spoke to her, because I wanted to have a conversation with her in front of the people. Because what she does when she meets with you individually is try to like buy you off or calm you down or make these secret promises to you. I want her to answer to the people for the broken pledge that she made. When she spoke to individuals about the vote, she was paternalistic, dismissive, and disrespectful. Her answer breaks down to shrug emoji. That's just the way it is. That's the way things work. You don't understand how things work. Her argument is that if she doesn't go along to get along with the fascists, they won't throw her the crumbs in the form of discretionary spending. This spending was more important to her because she believes it's the only way she'll get reelected. If she has money for special projects that she can put her name on. And you know what? She might be right. Personally, I have more faith in the intelligence of the electorate. I have more faith in your heart. I have more faith in your humanity than she does. Not just me, but people like Tiffany Caban, Chiose, Sandy Nurse, Charles Barron. These are some of the city council people that voted no and honored the campaign promises that they made and honored the will of their district. As the pandemic, the smoke from Canada, and the riding the subway has taught us, what happens to one of us affects all of us. We can't cut our care off at the district borders. We can't turn our hearts off when we cross borough lines. And I have to curse now, we can't say, fuck them kids, just because those kids are not ours. First of all, if you have a friend, family, romantic interest, co-worker that lives in a different district, do you not care about their children, their elders, their family members that have mental health services, that need mental health services, their family and friends that need to be housed? Do you stop caring about folks when you get outside of your district? Second of all, if you defund the schools, parks, libraries, after-school programs, enrichment programs, what do you think will happen to the teenagers, children, young adults that have nothing to do with their time instead? Y'all want to argue about and complain about the young folks acting up, but you don't want to take care of the young folks. You don't want to meet the needs of the young folks. You don't want to provide anything for the young folks. You just want to be at them. And then when they don't do what you want, you want to send the fucking police to abuse them. And that is not acceptable. We're not going to create a better society by beating people into submission. We have to uplift folks. We have to give them the things that they need. We have to meet their material needs. Parents need daycare, right? We need childcare for our children so we can work. And we don't have that. And Julie wants something for that? No. Julie Won is going to get up here. She's not here. She should be here. She was, she knows we're here. But we'll see her next week. Won? But Julie Won's going to get up here and tell you she had no choice but to. Julie Won's going to get up here and tell you she had no choice but to appease the mayor and the council president because she is looking out for her district. Well, let's talk about that. First of all, on its face, the sentiment is despicable. It is an admission that she believes that we live in an every person for themselves society, a dog-eat-dog society. And maybe she's right about that. Maybe she has a better read on the community than I do. I thought the reason she signed the pledge not to increase the NYPD budget was because she agreed with the moral and ethical stance that we were taking. But maybe she read it correctly and saw that we as a neighborhood, as a district, as individual families, don't care about seeing the material conditions change for our most vulnerable neighbors. I'm willing to accept the premise that maybe she made that no vote because she wanted to take care of her district but even that doesn't make sense when you hold it up to the light. I fucked up my speech. It's all right. It doesn't make sense when you hold it up to the light. We can't just take from poor people over and over and over again. We raise the price in the subways. We increase the police in the subways and then beat and arrest the people who can't afford to pay for the subways. We take money from the schools and then we beat and arrest the people who those schools fail. Those kids who go to those schools that are not getting the funding. You know what? Grace will talk about the schools. But like, we fail the kids that are going to the schools. We take their money. We give it to the police. The police turn around and beat those kids. The police turn around and break up those families and make it harder for those families to exist. We got NYCHA housing right now where people don't have gas, where people don't have clean water, where there's asbestos in the stairway. But we have $5.5 billion for the police. Shame! Shame! On an individual, for myself, I have to speak. So I talked to you about why we're here. I just want to speak for 10 seconds about why I'm here. All right, not 10 seconds, like 5 minutes why I'm here. All right? As I told y'all, I was marching in 2020. At the end of 2020, I was the victim of a violent attack by somebody who drove their car through our march. All right? I broke my leg, and I spent I'm still recovering from that psychologically. Members who are with us right now, members of your community, people who live in this neighborhood, were also in that march, were also harmed in that march. It was very difficult for me to reconcile that people who I love were harmed and almost killed marching to protect Black lives and to reduce the police budget, and that the city council person that we elected turned around and voted yes for an increase in the police budget after promising to vote no. But that wasn't enough to get me to come here today. I'm not gonna lie to you. That wasn't enough to get me to come here today. Where I really truly lost my mind is when that same city council person, the one that voted to increase the police budget, 6 months after doing that, tried to throw a vigil for a murdered black man, Tyree Nichols, was murdered by the police, and our city council member, the same one that voted yes to increase the police budget, tried to go to Skillman Avenue, a non-black neighborhood, Skillman Avenue, and put on a vigil for the murdered black man, completely showing her hypocrisy, completely showing how disingenuous she is, and how methodical, and how much of an operator she is. She is playing y'all. Sunnyside, Woodside, Astoria, Long Island City, JulieWon is playing you. JulieWon thinks you're stupid. JulieWon thinks you're not paying attention. And you know what? As we were handing out flyers, she's right. Everybody was like, oh, word? She voted yes for the police budget? I didn't know that. They weren't paying attention. So yes, we are rallying today to hold JulieWon accountable. But regardless of who's elected, we're going to be back here in 6 months rallying again to hold that person accountable, whether it's her or Haley Kim or whoever. Because that's our responsibility as citizens, as an electorate. We have to know what's going on. She's able to do this because we're not paying attention. So I'm begging y'all to please pay attention. Don't prove JulieWon that you are not stupid. Thank you. Up next. Hold on.
What? You want me to speak?
You're allowed to.
I mean, Haley asked me not to.
Just do whatever you feel.
Oh, yeah. It's too late, though.
You want me to speak?
Yes.
Up next, we have John Cho coming to speak. Give it up for John Cho. Make some noise for John Cho.
Thank you. My name is John Cho. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Flushing Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a community organizer based in Flushing, Queens. I just want to commend all the people here. It takes a great deal of courage to stand up against an elected official, an incumbent who wields great power and can punish anyone here. It shouldn't be that way. We live in a democracy. It's our right to assemble freely and to speak up against our government when they're wrong. I am a Korean American. I have lived in this country for many years. I value the rights and the dignities afforded me here, but I do not appreciate an elected official who pretends to be a progressive, who says she's pro-women, who goes to pride parades, posing up to a fascist president of South Korea, K-Trump, who is leading a movement against women in Korea, taking away the Ministry of Gender Equity in South Korea, taking away the rights of workers to assemble and to mobilize and organize. In fact, a labor leader committed suicide recently because he was so harassed, he was persecuted for exercising his right to organize his workers in his factory. And she goes to DC and cozies up to this person who is a fascist president of South Korea and takes a photograph with him so that her conservative supporters think she's doing a great job in Sunnyside. Why is she even in DC? She needs to be here. Where is Julie Won? Where is Julie Won? She should be here. And yet, we see her taking photo ops in the newspapers, on TV, pretending to be a great councilwoman. During the pandemic, many of you, including myself, were in mutual aid, helping to feed people who didn't have enough, who lost their jobs, who lost their homes. This is America. And yet I saw people dying on the streets of New York City, the richest city in the richest country in the world. And this council member pushes through luxury development after luxury development. She pushed through Innovation Queens. Innovation Queens is a Trojan horse for reintroducing 421A into our city. 421A is a program that provides billions of dollars in bonuses and taxpayer subsidies to luxury developers who promise to build affordable housing. She's saying that Innovation Queens will bring affordable housing units into our community, but only if Albany reintroduces 421A. I find that unacceptable. As an organizer in Flushing, as an organizer who cares about affordable housing, she is going to ruin affordable housing in New York City with Innovation Queens. And we have to hold her accountable. We have to tell her what she did was wrong, and she needs to make sure that she doesn't do that again. I know some people here have asked that she step down and resign. I stand with you. Julie Won, you need to step down and let someone else take your place, a real community organizer, a real progressive who will actually represent our community. So please, Julie Won, for the sake of all of New York City, step down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Up next, I have the privilege of bringing up, honestly, one of my favorite people in the world, a revolutionary in her own right, an educator, a super dope human being. Give it up for Rachel. For Grace. Give it up for Grace Frutos, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace. I live in the neighborhood. I've lived here most of my life, and I am a bilingual speech teacher for the Department of Education. So today I just wanted to inform everyone why Julie Won is actually supporting the schools to prison pipeline and why Julie Won is supporting legal slavery. So we know that schools, right, are training our kids in a way that makes them follow orders and doesn't empower them holistically. Julie Won supported the budget, which was going to cut education by $469 million last year. This year, the proposed budget is even cutting most schools by 8% more than last year. Teachers already have to do a lot outside of what we get paid for in order to educate our kids. These cuts mean that there's staff that has to be let go. So classrooms, ICT classrooms, which means kids with IEPs, are kids who need special education. They are not allotted that space that they deserve with small classrooms, individualized attention, and it's all because CMJulieWon promised us that she would be voting against this budget, but she didn't. So what ended up happening is in the schools that were the most vulnerable, the schools that have kids that are targeted by systemic oppression, those are the schools that lost the funding. Those are the teachers that lost paras. Those are the teachers that lost their coworkers. Those are the schools that are now struggling to get by. After a pandemic, our kids have not been able to adapt to school. It's been 2 years, and we can still see the effects of the pandemic on our kids. What they need is more trips. What they need is more counselors at the school. But instead, we're having more police. We can't take trips because we don't have money in the budget to do so. Teachers are overworked. Teachers are burning out. Last year was the record number of teachers retiring from the DOE because actions like the ones that CMJulieWon is taking make us so tired and burned out that we have no other choice but to leave. Teachers have to have 2 jobs to be able to afford living in this district. I have personally told Julie, what are you doing for affordable housing? What are you doing for the schools in your district that actually need it the most? She will tell you that she's about the kids and that she's funding them, which she is giving some money to education. But I want us to look at what school she's funding the most. Is she funding the schools by the piers where all the gentrifiers are? The schools that have programs, science programs, that don't need that many security guards because they have all the resources that they need? Or is she being mindful of being equitable and funding the schools near Ravenswood, near Queensbridge, which she isn't doing? So although she might come and you might tell her, why are you defunding schools? And she will tell you she gave all of these thousands of dollars to these different schools. Question her to what schools she's funding. What programs is she supporting? Because she knows that if she goes and she gives a big check in Long Island City, they're probably going to vote for her. And she's not prioritizing the people in our district that need it the most. Lastly, by her cutting the DOE budget and her funding police, we know that they make prisons based on how many kids are behind in literacy. So making classrooms have to be bigger makes it so that less kids get individualized attention and so that the achievement gap just grows further and further and further, setting them up into the school to prison pipeline. And once they're in the school to prison pipeline, they're stuck in a system that's legal slavery. They'll be getting pennies on the dollar to make the furniture for NYU, for Columbia, for all these schools, the hand sanitizer that was given to us during the pandemic, all these other things. And then after they leave prison, they have no opportunities. So for us, as people in this district that can vote, it is very important for us to hold her accountable. As so far, we know there are 2 people running. And I encourage you to really question what Julie has done and question the other people that are going to run to see what are they actually going to do. Are they going to keep their promises? Are they going to be equitable with their money? Are they going to send the money to the schools that need it the most? Or are they just going to continue to play this game of politics, promise us all these things to make us vote for them and then not deliver? Thank you.
Hey! Bars! Can somebody go replace Thomas? Somebody leave Thomas and do the recording. Cool. Is somebody recording on your behalf? Recording, please. Beautiful people, allow me to introduce Thomas. Excuse me, I apologize for that. Thomas Mutually, I've been pronouncing that wrong the whole time. Thomas Mutually, everybody, amazing person.
Yes, hi. My name is Thomas. I live here in Sunnyside. I never speak at these events, ever. I usually help put on these events. But I just want to speak to a few things that haven't been mentioned yet. First, I just want to thank Roque and all these organizers who've been doing the work for years for putting on this event. I think it's so important to hold your elected officials accountable. I, for one, work on campaigns. I'm a member of the Campaign Workers Guild. It's a union. And I apologize to everyone here. I worked on JulieWon's first campaign, and I am no longer supporting her because of the number of promises that she broke. First, I'd like to just name that Julie moved into my building, the Phipps Sunnyside Gardens apartment, made promises to the tenants that she was going to be a huge proponent of tenants' rights, that she would be there for them. She did surveys, took their data, took their information. It was actually her best election district in the entire district. Everyone there voted for her. And then she moved out without even telling anyone. And you know, I like to give people grace. I like to give them a second chance. But she moved out, didn't even tell us. And then I was like, you know what, I'll keep working with her because of my job, my position. And then the budget vote. As Roque said, she signed 2 different pledges. Those pledges, for folks that want to fact check this stuff, are the Courage to Change PAC and the People's Budget by DSA's Racial Justice Working Group. So she signed a pledge stating that she would not vote for a budget that defunded social services. And then she did that. And I even gave her another chance. I give people too many chances. It's my character flaw. Yeah, and I thought, you know, she would do the right thing by workers. As someone that is a part of a union, I'm actually a part of 2 unions, Actors Equity and the Campaign Workers Guild. You know, not everyone has a union. Not everyone has the opportunity to have protections. So Tiffany Caban has this bill called the Secure Jobs Act, which would protect workers, specifically, you know, food service workers, domestic workers, people who do not have unions, from unjust firings. Now, I just assumed, considering that this council person calls herself a progressive, that she was a co-sponsor. Come to find out, she actually removed her name from the bill, does not co-sponsor it, even though nearly every single member of the Progressive Caucus in the City Council sponsors it, along with a huge coalition of progressive organizations, including Sunnyside Community Services. Sunnyside Community Services endorses this bill because they know that it would protect the working class people in this community. And Julie does not co-sponsor it. Verbatim, she told me when I was canvassing folks at the Green Market that some of the major unions don't support it, so she has problems with the bill. And that's very problematic. I was like, so do the rank and file members have problems with the bill, or the bosses, the union bosses? And she couldn't answer that. And so for me, she said she's a proponent of workers' rights, and these unions, even some of the conservative unions, are backing her. And I'm very concerned that she's not actually a proponent of workers' rights, because she's refusing to sponsor the one bill that's in the council that would actually protect folks. You know, right now you can walk into work one day and it's legal to leave without a job the same day. And so there's that. And then I think for me, like, as someone that got her elected, it is very troubling that her campaign manager / husband continues to harass community members who do not agree with him. These are facts. These are on video. They are recorded, and it's multiple instances. I have asked him, please, Eugene, stop harassing community members. You're an incumbent. You're a campaign professional. You have a very good chance of re-election, and why would you curse at people? And so it's very troubling. One, he is not only cursing at campaign workers for his opponents on the streets, but high school students, minors, who are underage, and this is their first campaign they're ever working on. And it's disgusting, because he's out there calling them losers, cursing at children who are simply just talking to their neighbors. High school students who've lost funding for their schools, now campaigning for an educator. I think it's deplorable. And first and foremost, if Julie really wants to do some reparative work and repair the harm that she's committing, she will ask her husband / campaign manager to step down.
Yeah.
I have worked on several campaigns, and I've never seen someone behave this way. And it's abusive. And I don't think that someone who allows their campaign staffer and partner to abuse this community, I don't think that's the leadership that we need. Our former council member, Jimmy Van Braber, whether you liked him and agreed with him and the things that he did when he was in council, his partner always treated this community with dignity and respect. And that is the type of leadership that we need. And so I'll just leave you all with this. I live here. I worked on, like the folks who are just joining us, I worked on Julie's campaign last time around, and I believed in her, and I will not be voting for her this round. And I ask all of you to do your research. And thank you.
What about K-Trump?
Oh, yes. I think John touched on K-Trump. So for folks that don't know, the president of South Korea, Julie took a photo with, went to DC, celebrated meeting him, and it is Pride Month. I actually just came from a Pride event up in the Bronx, and the South Korean president is a proponent of gay conversion therapy. He won on an anti-feminist platform and an anti-LGBT platform. Now, that is not allyship. To me, whether she just marched in our Sunnyside Pride Parade, wove around a flag, and said that she was an ally. To me, there are people in other countries who cannot be the people they want to be and live the lives they want to live because of fascist leaders like this president. And either she is incredibly ill-informed, which I doubt it, or she doesn't care, and she wants to cater to conservative voters who will celebrate her meeting with people like that. And I think I touched on all the things that I wanted to. So thank you all for organizing this. And
give it up for Thomas mutually, y'all. Mutually. At this point, we actually want to take a moment. Anybody who wants to come up, maybe ask a question. Oh, excuse me. Up next, coming to the microphone, I have one of the most brilliant, powerful people that you'll ever meet in your life, Kayla Almanzar.
Hi everyone, I'm Kayla Almanzar. I'm a social worker. I live here in District 26. I just wanted to share this little poster. It's just a wish list for District 26. So, sorry, thank you. So as community members and district members, if you want to come over, have a chat, talk about some of the things that you want to see in the district, come over to me. We can have a conversation and just make sure that the politicians, anyone who's running here, is actually following through with what you want to see in your districts. Because here as community members, we want to make sure that we're holding each other accountable. And that's what this is. If you say that you want to defund the police, you pledge on that, we want to see you follow through on it. So come on over to me, we can have a little chat and maybe put your thoughts on the poster board, okay? Thank you.
Give it up for Kayla, everybody. So yeah, if you want to come share your thoughts, you want to come build with us, we're going to be here in the cut for like another 20, 30 minutes. But yes, and we're also going to be, please bring your people, because we're going to come back out next week to the farmers market where JulieWon is having a Get Out the Vote event, and we're going to be there too, and we're going to speak again. And if you want to speak or you know somebody who needs to speak, please let us know. Please come out. Please do not vote for JulieWon. Thank you.